Hello. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marissa Merrigan. I am a senior specialist with RWJBH Institute for Prevention and Recovery. And welcome. And okay, so okay, being recorded, continue. Okay, now it's back to not presenting. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, and I'm working with the Hope and Healing Program. So our presentation today is brought to you by RWJ and the Hope and Healing Program in an effort to promote and support your emotional and physical well-being. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we provide programs to help mitigate stress, ease loneliness and isolation, as well as offer a safe and comfortable place to share with others. There you go. That's our okay. So today's program is called Times of Your Life, the Memories That Make Us. I'd like to talk about what we remember and how we remember things, and I'm going to go into that a little bit. So our memory helps us make us who we are, from fondly recollecting childhood events to remembering where we left our keys. Memory plays a vital role in every aspect of our lives. It provides us with a sense of self, makes up our continual experience of life. Memories are very essential in our lives because they allow us to grow and learn to be a better person. Our recollections can teach us very important life lessons, demonstrate skills and abilities, and can make us feel happy and entertained. We can remember where we did our mistakes as well and learn from it. This is a short film that I'm going to share with you, and then we'll have a little bit of commentary after that. We'll discuss. Okay, will it play? There it goes. That. Thank you. Okay. Okay. I don't know why it's not playing. Any ideas, Samantha? You're muted.
As soon as I started talking, I realized that. Only maybe because I shared it with you. Would you like me to pull mine up here?
Would you mind?
No,
Would you mind?
Jessica, if you could make me a co-host as well,
yes.
Then I will pull it up. Let me get out of this. Not a
Sonia, you're next in line for co-host. And then after that, Jessica, you're out of luck because I'm not their techie.
All right, Samantha, I think you should have co-host abilities now.
Okay, let me pull.
Okay, see if you can grab it. I don't know, when I took it and downloaded it, it didn't transfer, I guess. Apologies, everyone.
Not a problem. Where is it?
Now I'm going to stop the share when you're ready.
I am ready.
Okay, I'm stopping the share. Take it over.
Hopefully it will come and let me share it too. There we go.
What is a memory? Is it a photograph? A snapshot of light, captured, then printed? An image from a certain space and time of certain individuals? Is the memory tied to the visual image? Or is the photo just a placeholder, a reminder of that memory? A picture can become the physical evidence that the ones we love actually existed. It can serve as the gap between what our brain has forgotten and our heart remembers. A photograph can embody their characteristics and help us remember the parts about them that we love the most. Reminders of their smile, the sound of their voice, and the way they made us feel. It seems that the more time passes, the more valuable these photos become, and we are compelled to preserve them. Is it that we see a part of ourselves we no longer know and would like to preserve? Perhaps. But mostly, it's because it preserves the grace of a grandfather's embrace. The joy brought to a mother's heart by her family. A distant moment in the past that not even memory can recall. The wisdom shining from my uncle's eyes. The loving kindness of a mother's care. The joy experienced as a kid around these people. Is a photo
That's where we have stopped it.
Okay, so Samantha, as you can tell, was the person who originated this presentation. She selected this film, and I think it's very poignant, and it reminds us about. It made me smile, you know, the language and just the description of why we keep these photographs and we keep those memories, and a lot of them that we can't exactly have the direct memory, but when we look at the image, we can almost sense the feeling that we had in that time, or even when we were younger and our parents had the feelings, you know. Anyway, I was just thinking or wanting to know if anybody had that kind of similar reaction, or maybe a different reaction to this portion of the film. Carol, you're muted if you want to speak.
Yeah, you know, it's like, it was such warm
Yeah,
and
think so too.
beautiful pictures, and the feelings that you could see in the people being photographed, especially, you know, with the grandparents, the mothers,
Yeah.
the fathers, the aunts, the uncles, whatever, and holding those babies, and brings back such warm, happy memories. And
Yeah,
not
it's
only of the babies that, you know, we may have had in our hands, but of the people that were holding them, you
Yeah.
know, other family members.
yeah, they're invaluable, you know, when you think about that image, that feeling. You can't replicate that, you know. It's just, it is what it is. You know,
And you know, I want one of them now.
I know you do. I know you do.
I could almost smell that baby's head.
Oh my goodness.
You know, it's interesting. I don't know where I was reading something, maybe yesterday, today, about, and someone posed a question. Do you print pictures now? Think about it. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of pictures on these things. But do we print them so that you can actually see them?
Yeah, we don't. I don't think people do. I think that people will.
You don't see those, and you don't relive those memories unless you're scrolling through your phone.
It's fascinating point. It's a fascinating point because it's true. And you know what it is that with the digital pics, it'll be, you know, a momentous occasion, right? A baby being born. Yeah, that gets disseminated, and you may print it and give it to the grandparents and the aunts and the uncles, or maybe, you know, a bar mitzvah or a first Holy Communion, and like those pictures. But those day-to-day candid, like you see in the movie, we have them, but they're here. You know, they're not in a photo album. It's really a good point. I do email a lot of pictures to myself, and then I describe it, so that they don't get lost in the sauce. That's what I do. But do I print them out now? You
That's
do too?
interesting too, because the video said the photographs are placeholders for memory. And so if we don't
Right.
have that physical, tangible piece of whatever paper it is it still that much of a placeholder where we have to, like, Samantha said, scroll through and
Right.
find those pictures and relive the memories? As I know me personally, when I'm looking for a specific picture, I get distracted by all the other ones I'm looking at, and I end up looking at all these other pictures, and then I can't find the one that I'd like.
Right.
Whereas I do like to scrapbook and make photo albums. So that's like that tangible memory where I can actually hold it, I can
Uh-huh.
look at it and go, that's where I was, that's how I was feeling during this point, as
Yeah.
opposed to scrolling, as Carol's holding up her photo album.
Interestingly enough, since my grandchildren were born, my son's wife, my daughter-in-law, and my daughter both, they have these printed out for me every year. So it's like, but it's highlights. There are still those others that are, like in cyberspace here. However, in the legal world, something that I learned in working for attorneys a couple of years ago, that if you do not will the rights and the access to what is ever stored in your cell phone in terms of your photos, your memories, whatever, that
They're gone.
they're gone.
So
you
did you
need,
know that, Jessica? Did you know that? I didn't know that either. That's terrible.
you need to let someone
Goodness.
know, at the very least, you need to let someone know your password to get in there, and
Yeah.
then to get them off before your phone gets shut off. It's gone. And there's been quite a bit of controversy. Marissa, you
interesting.
know how tacky estates can be these days.
Yes.
There's quite a bit of controversy legally with estates, especially when one child over another will say, they can't come in and say to a house, I'm taking this because it was my child.
Yeah.
I want that. They have to actually go into court to get that. So
Amazing.
Oh.
So then
is
that's even
amazing.
more of a reason to get those things, print them out, have them, accessible,
Yeah.
so that that they're not gone forever. That's 'cause
right.
That's,
But techie people will know how to do these, what are they called? Shutterfly things or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
That's great.
And then,
Yeah.
and then the other thing is, there are companies out there that will actually take them off your phone for you, and they will run them and put them in books. So I guess it could be quite expensive because, as Samantha said, there sometimes, and I have thousands in my
Yes.
phone.
Sure. Easily, even just from vacations, when you go on a vacation, you find that you've taken hundreds of pictures. Some of them you
Yes.
wind up deleting because you're like, yeah, they weren't that great, but some of them,
Yeah.
Or when you
just-
touch,
oh yeah.
15.
Burst or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
I have
So-
I have some funny ones like that too that are fun. Okay, so I guess I'm resuming, Samantha, so I will
Sure.
share the screen again if I can find it. Okay, so we're going to go back to here, and we're going to share, and I am going to, let's go back in here and go into, is it coming up? Come on. There we go. Now I'm going to go to the next slide. Oh, now it's
All
playing.
plays.
You have got to be kidding me.
Just needed to get warmed up.
Oh my goodness. And now I can't get out of it. Yay. That makes me so happy. Okay, I'm going to stop the share. Apologies, technical things are always the random fun of Zooming. So let me just see what I can do. And I'm going to change that. And I'm going to get into, that's hysterical. As you saw, I could not get that. I could not get that film. And then it decided to show up. So let's get past the film. And then I'm coming back to you guys. And I'm going to change my view so I can share the screen. Okay. Good. And now we're going to present. Oh my goodness. Samantha, will you do me a favor? Oh my gosh. No, like, why is this doing this?
I know.
I'm having a,
So I've got it. Don't worry about it.
I know, I just ended it. So now can I go to the next? Oh my Lord. I cannot get out of this. Okay, I'm gonna stop the share if you wouldn't mind. For
Okay.
some reason, it's just caught in that loop. Thank you.
But what I end up doing, I'll tell you, is go to your slide presentation again, and it should come up.
That's what I did. I
That-
did. I went to the next one and then it kicked me back to the film for whatever reason. So anyway, so in our series that we do, we have general meetings during the week. We have 4 meetings, and we've talked about this with the people that attend our meetings, and it's about having the memory boxes and how, and that's a physical box, but having a memory box of where we store things that are precious to us. So it can be images, it could be all different things related to our senses. And it's good to keep that in our brains and keep our brains active so we can tap into that and kind of recall things. And so this is the box that kind of represents what we always talk about, because a full life of experiences creates a memory box, right? That's what it is. It's all the different experiences. Not all the memories will be good, but then all of them combined create, who we are, the fullness of our lives. So it's all part of who we are. It's all part of our makeup. And the good, bad, and the ugly, right? Okay, Samantha, you're gonna have to. So this is the other piece that we were talking about. Talk about collaboration today, Samantha, huh? So what triggers memories? Triggers are powerful because they often involve the senses. Our senses can be almost overwhelmingly powerful. What we see, sounds, and even especially smells play a large part in our memory. The more sensory information that we have that's stored, the easier our memory is to recall. We've done different things, and I think we've talked about the senses and how they really do trigger certain memories, certain feelings, certain times of our lives. And for me, obviously, music is a big one for me. When I hear a song, I directly think about someone or a time. But for me too is the smell. When I smell certain things, it can take me right back to a time, even when I was really little, and that was a long time ago. So I think it's about being kind of mindful and aware when those things happen, and that's part of our memory box, and that's something that's precious and unique to us. Although we can all relate, because we all have those triggers. It just may not be the same. Any thoughts on that? Anybody want to share about anything? Jessica, you have a thing that triggers your senses?
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I always relate a certain smell, and I can't even describe it, like with my grandmother's house, like, oh, that smells like grandma's house. And like this one soap, I always reminds me of when I did swim lessons at the YMCA when I was very, very little. So I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, the olfactory is so strong, and it's fascinating how it can really take you back from, like you say, when you're like really a little kid, and you remember exactly, that smell. It puts you right back in that place, or you remember exactly how that felt. It's fascinating. But I think that's it's cool to kind of think of and remember what things trigger, because our memories sometimes they're just dormant and we don't tap into them, and some of them are really terrific, and they can warm your heart, and they can make you feel well and lift your spirits. I don't know, Samantha.
How about the boardwalk? How about the boardwalk? I mean, that's really a
It's a combination of all.
That's a sensory overload. Yeah, because of the sound and the amusements, right? And then you have the ocean sound, the funnel cakes.
Like
the best
smell.
part.
sausage and peppers,
Oh, I'm starting to
pizza.
get hungry.
Yeah.
No.
Are you a boardwalk person, Jessica?
Definitely. And so, yeah, when you said the boardwalk, I'm like, oh, that's everything. That's the
Everything.
sound, the smells,
Huge.
the like feel of the ocean air on your
Right.
skin. It's everything.
And then and even like you hear the kids screaming on the
Mhm.
rides, right? You hear the music, you
Those-
hear the wheels spinning around where they have
Yeah.
the games, and you hear the arcade
Mhm.
sounds,
Popping the
Um,
balloons.
Yep.
Yeah.
all the seagulls, the
Yeah,
ocean
it's
crashing. Yep.
really that's a great one. We should always remember to talk about the boardwalk, because I think everybody can relate to that. And you can't, it's immersive, right? Once you get there, it's kind of like, whoa. But I remember when I was really little going to the boardwalk. I can recall that very easily, and the rides, and taking my younger brother, who was not a good ride kid. He was always scared, but he pleaded with me. It's a lot of time me kind of going, it'll be okay. I'll go with you. I'll go with you. But anyway, it's a great way to kind of tap in, like you say, put those things in your memory box, whether it's a physical box or just someplace in your mind that you can tap into. It's healthy. It's good. Okay, next slide, please, my assistant. Okay, so this is
A wonderful production. It's just you have your producer, your director.
I know, it's amazing. So on this slide, there's an illustration of a door called the magic door. This is a magic door that opens to any time and place that you desire right now. Imagine where you would like to travel to. Imagine the details of this place or the context, sound, sights. I think we kind of did that with the boardwalk, right? What surrounds you, any people, and why have you chosen? So if you could travel through the door and it could take you to any time or place, where would you go? I have a few that I would.
I have
Yes,
one.
Samantha.
Well, my youngest son is a counselor at a sleepaway camp all summer. And so I've spent many times up there with them. My husband would work and whatever, but he and I met at a different camp growing up when we were kids in Texas. And I see a beautiful sunset or an image over a lake, and that's where I go. So when I picture like the summer and being at my son being at camp, I picture one view from the camp that I grew up in and over the lake and watching the sunset, and I can see it. I can absolutely see it as clear as day right now.
That's so cool.
The memories of the friends that were around me and just the times, I'd go back.
Yeah, that's great. And simple, right? Simple.
Oh yeah.
Simple time, simple, just beautiful nature and
It was just
people
fun.
that you're comfortable. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I have a couple. What about you, Sonia? Do you have any that you would walk
Trying to think
through?
of one. Sorry, there's a lawnmower going off outside. I can't think of a specific one at this moment. Come back to me. Let me think of one.
Okay. How
Thank
about
you.
you, Carol?
Oh, I have so many. It's but if I could walk through that door and go back to some place, it would be when all of my parents, my grandparents, my cousins, my aunts and uncles, when they were all alive, and we were gathered at one of the grandparents' homes for a holiday or something, and
Yeah.
all the kids running around, and who was fighting with who, with the kids.
The crazy.
Yeah, and the smells of the food and the
Yeah.
look of the table. It's like it was a time in my life where there was no worry, there was no fear, and there was just nothing but comfort and love, and it was a really nice place to be.
Yeah, I'm with you. I kind of go. I totally understand that. I'm right with you, Carol. I could go probably when I was a teenager, and my grandparents died when I was very small, but my great aunt and uncle, they were kind of like our surrogate grandparents, and she was a phenomenal cook. And she and my mother would argue. They loved each other so much, but they would bicker, over the cooking, because my mother, it was her kitchen, but my aunt would be there, and the smells And it was the silly same, thing. I'll do it. No, I'll do it, kind of thing. But it made it real, it made it real. Nothing fresh or anything, but it was just that kind of, that's how they communicated. And everybody would sit around the table and just chow down, and we'd laugh. And
It's so
I'd love to do
different.
that.
Yeah, it's so different today because, like, I don't know really what it is, but now from my level, my generation level, like with my cousins, because none of our parents are alive anymore, and we have
Right.
become the older generation. But the families get spread out, like my children don't live nearby anymore, and
Right.
it's only when we celebrate holidays, it's just us. It's the family cell is smaller than it used to
Yes.
be, unless you come from a really huge family. So, I'm at the point now in my life where my cousins' grandchildren are being born,
Yeah.
and they will not experience, neither have my cousins' children necessarily, or mine have experienced that same family unity and dynamic. And, we used to go to one grandmother or the other every weekend for dinner. Every other weekend, we alternated between my mother's and my father's, and back and forth. And all of our cousins and our aunts and uncles would be there. So it was just like we were such a family,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know I have a girlfriend, and she's one of four girls. So she has three sisters. They all have huge families, and their children, for instance, call all the aunts, like, instead of it being aunt this or aunt that, it's or no, their children, like the grandchildren, it's like Mima auntie. And because then it's like, instead of saying grand aunt or something, they know that they're a grandparent level. So it's Mima auntie and this, that. And I thought it's like the cutest thing,
That's cute.
So it's just, I think that everybody nowadays is just too, I guess, separated from a bigger
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah, socially, I think things have changed. I think when we made more things available on the weekends, there's more reasons for not seeing your families on the weekends, or gathering. We used to do
Yeah.
a Sunday for sure, or even maybe Saturdays, some people did. But, as soon as they started having all kinds of sports and games for the kids on the weekends, it just kind of, and I'm not saying that single-handedly did it, but then, like, you just have all these things where the obligations for a lot of
Snowballs.
the kids. Yeah.
But in the same respect, I finally thought of an example.
Okay.
On the flip side of it, spending time with family makes it that much more meaningful when you don't get to see them all the time. Like, for
Yeah,
example, right
that's
now
very
I'm not at home. I'm out of state visiting on my fiance's family because he's from Ohio, and the memory I have is just so 7 years ago, we've been together 7 years. I celebrated my first Christmas. I had never celebrated it before. I was raised with Hanukkah and all that, and I remember celebrating for the first time and just being so confused. And Matt's kids laughing at me because I couldn't figure out. I didn't know that you have to open artificial trees. And it was just this big experience. I'm like, it was all new experiences. It was just so much fun. And now I'm the one who decorates the Christmas tree at home.
For sure.
So it's like, it's amazing how things can grow. But I remember his kids, they were really little. They were like 8 and 10 at the time. They're like, how do you not know how to do this? I'm like, why would I know how to do this? And they're like, oh,
I get it now.
it was the
Yeah,
funniest experience. It was
That's
hysterical, but it
That's
was a very happy one.
it was a happy time. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I
That's
like it.
probably something they'll always remember too.
Probably.
They had a good kick out of it. It was fun. It was
Yeah.
fun.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay, let's go to the next slide, I guess.
We kind of just did this.
We did this. Yeah. Okay.
Anything on the last one if you want to do?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that question. So conversely, what door would you not want to walk through again? I have a good list for that one too. I don't know. What about you, Samantha? any door that you wouldn't want to go back through.
Well, I certainly wouldn't want to experience some of the pain,
Yeah,
you know, that I have gone through at different times.
right.
You know, and I'm sure all of you can relate to different times of someone suffering or
Yeah,
what have you, but I wouldn't trade that time I had,
I know. It's
but I just wouldn't
complicated.
want to go back there.
It's a
Does that make
really,
sense?
I,
Yeah.
I totally get it, because it's really actually a very complicated question, because if you take that away, then you don't get the good from it, and the other, and I guess that's the lesson, right? Is that,
The scenario, a few things, you know, for a certain
yes,
way for a few things, but that's
Yeah.
not what the magic door is letting us do. It's not changing anything. It's just
right.
going back
It's-
to an experience.
yeah.
I wouldn't want to live through those experiences again.
But I
If
know
I could change the narrative, sure.
yeah,
But
if you can change the
that's not-
narrative, right. But I mean, I think I think that it's a pretty darn complicated question when you really get down to it, because for me, I totally agree with you. There were times I was caretaker for my parents. There were times that were incredibly challenging and upsetting, and you feel so terrible to, people you love really going through it. However, I was able to share that with them, so I don't know. Gets me verklempt. No, because it's like, you can't get rid of that. You can't, you have to take the rough with the smooth. That's the way life is,
But sometimes, for instance, if you think to the passing of a parent or something, and even if that parent suffered, poor health and lingered for a while,
Yeah.
I think that's a very sad time, and we certainly wouldn't want to go back there in our memory. But when we think about that parent, perhaps all of the good times
Yeah.
that we shared certainly outweigh
Absolutely.
that sadness. So sometimes it's always good to remember. I mean, I think naturally we all remember the good rather than the bad first,
Yeah.
but it kind of goes hand in hand with every person that we meet, every experience that we've had.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like the whole thrust of this, is that's what makes us our total person, right? Our experiences, good and bad, make us. But at the same time of being there, like if it's prolonged illness, and I got to be there. I
was going
wasn't,
to say that.
so I had that opportunity to be there, and that is very, very precious to me. If
Finding the
it has to
gratitude in the
happen,
negativity.
yeah,
Finding gratitude through negativity. It's like,
Yeah.
well, thank goodness I was there and able to be present at that
yes,
moment.
I'm very
Thank goodness
grateful
I
for
made
that.
it to the other side of this situation and I'm okay today. So it's that
Yeah.
gratitude, negativity. That's exactly what I was
Right.
going
I
to
mean,
say.
it's a really deep question, that last question. So I'm glad that any other observations.
Yeah, I think it's as I was thinking about it, like what wouldn't I want to go back to? And I agree with you, is that I don't think I would want to experience some of the pain again, but if you take that away, then you wouldn't have those memories, and you wouldn't have that experience of either being
right.
stronger or being on the other side. And I think back, like you were saying, of caregiving for elderly and sick family members, and while I wouldn't want to see them in that same place again, I wouldn't want to take away those memories, even though it was difficult. It was that last time that I got to spend with them. And
Yeah.
so it's hard to relive that, but I would never want to take it away.
I totally agree. It's fascinating that it's kind of puts it right in your face that if you get rid of it, then you get rid of everything, right? You can't really separate out. You can emotionally say, you have the fond memories, like Carol was saying, but through the process, if you don't go there ever, then you don't have the other part of it, the beauty of it, and the good things about it.
I think it also depends on the situation.
Of course.
That depends on, and someone slowly unfortunately dying from cancer or some other disease is different than, some others. But,
Oh, sure.
yes, but I would 100% agree.
Yeah, it's fascinating. All right, may I have the next slide, Samantha, please? Thank you. So here are some quotes. And what we usually do with the quotes is everybody just reads them and then let me know if there's any particular quote that resonates.
I knew it was coming. I had to get up and get my glasses.
I really like that one with the person on the swing. Some days I wish I could go back in life, not to change anything, but to feel a few things twice. I like
My favorite one.
That's
also.
great.
Is it?
That's a great one.
I mean, because I honestly, as much or as little as I've gone through in my own life, I wouldn't change anything. It's just like we're discussing. It wouldn't make me me. It wouldn't bring that this authenticity of who I am today if I hadn't gone through those situations. But it doesn't mean I wouldn't want to go back and relive a few things. That would be amazing. Well, some of it would be amazing.
Yeah.
That's just great.
I like the Dr. Seuss one. Sometimes you'll never know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory, I think that's so true. And that's kind of going back to what we were talking about with the photographs that we take that are like those random candids. And that capture is way different than like posed picture, right? Those little moments, they have a different kind of value, both of them are valuable, but it's kind of interesting that a particular moment, sometimes you're in the moment, you're like, wow, this is so memorable. And then other times you're in a moment that when on reflection, you go, wow, that was really something else. So I like that one. That's cool.
That leads also into die with memories, not dreams. That's looking back. And if you look back at your whole life, instead of just saying, I wish I had, shoulda, coulda, woulda, it's look what I did. That's cool too.
I also like this Paulo, can't say his last name. Paulo, memories are like salt. The right amount brings out flavor of food. Too much ruins it.
That's
So
great.
If you live and only live in the memories and in the past, that can be a problem as well. And so it's a balance.
Yeah, it's a great one.
It's a balance.
Oh, he's the one that wrote The Alchemist, right? So his whole book is kind of, it really goes in line with that. There's a lot with that, but it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. You can't live in your memories, right?
You have to continue living. You can't live in the past and only think. So
and I think sometimes people don't want to let go of the memories because they're afraid that if they do, they'll forget them, right? They repeat them because they're afraid that they'll be lost.
Yeah.
What about you, Carol? Anything that you like?
Well, life is short, live it resonates with me.
Yeah.
And for very personal reasons. However, I believe it is something that I try and live by because, you shouldn't hold on to anger for too long because life is too short. That whole kind of thing, and I think that we all build our memories. I mean, it's like we could all see the same thing or experience the same thing and have different memories about it. And when you recall them, you'll say, wow, how could you think that? Well, it's just that we all have different feelings and emotions, and that's how those memories stay within us. Like we all share something very much in common. A lot of things. I mean, 9/11, COVID, things of that nature that we've all shared together in our lifetimes, but have different memories of it.
Sure, absolutely. I think that's really a good point. Okay, then may I have the next slide? And this is a great bit of text that Samantha has a personal connection with, but I'll read it for you. Okay. When I die, give me what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds, Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. Beautiful. It's awesome. Okay. And we're going to go to the next slide because that's like, okay.
And I apologize, I have to hop off to start another Zoom, so.
Yes,
I
okay,
don't know
see
if
you
I need,
later.
I don't know if I need to log on. I don't have the
I will
password.
join you, Sonia,
Thank
so
you
I
so
can give
much.
you that permission. Jessica, it has been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Next week.
Talk us up, talk
you.
us up to
Yeah.
your friends.
Yes,
so much.
thank you.
Thank you. I hope
you.
we left you
Bye.
with a memory
Thanks
today.
for participating and thanks for your patience with the technical stuff.
Not a problem.
Thanks. The
I
times of
can't
our
wait.
lives and the memories we have are what form us into the people we are here today. Both the good and bad memories have made us into the resilient people who have made it through a year plus, unlike any we have ever seen before. The memories and experiences will continue to help us as we move forward. So I'm going to leave you on that note, and I think the next slide is our contact information. We have, as I said, we have weekly meetings 4 times a week. Every day is a different topic. And you can reach out. And my suggestion is this: take a picture of this slide. And then you can jot down our numbers or our email addresses or the Zoom links if you want. You could email us and we will send you the flyer so you can use the Zoom links from the flyer. But anyway, I thank you for participating and I hope you enjoyed this presentation and make some more good memories. Thank you very much.